The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Krista
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. This is Black History Month and year. And today we're going to be talking about some amazing stuff about Black history. Crystal?
Yeah, in fact, we just want to talk about how innovative us as a people, Black people, have been since the day they received actually even before they received their emancipation.
Their freedom papers.
Their freedom papers. They were just doing it for the master that owned them at the time. But when we thought to think about it, nothing this was a barren country. Yeah. When we came here. And so everything that was built in this country was built by us, right? And using our talents and our skills and our brilliancy. And one of the things I have to say, Gilbert, is that, and I put this on Facebook earlier today, that we were chosen. They realized, based upon what we had done in Africa and in Egypt and all of the areas over there, how talented we were. They had tried with the Indians, the American Indians that were residing here, that was already in America before they got here. And they had tried with the Chinese. They had tried with a number of other ethnicities. Right. The Spanish were already here. That's where it didn't work. So they went to find the group of people that could work in the capacity that they needed. And we have to remember that slavery was about capitalism. And there were more millionaires created in that time frame while we were in captivity than ever before.
Say it again, Crystal. Say it again. Slavery was about capitalism.
It was about money. Hey, Gerald, how are you? It was about making them money. And they didn't really have to do anything, because everything that was being taken place, the cotton gin, everything, and those are some of the things that we're going to talk about today, was from our ingenuity and our innovation and our invention. So we should be able to do the same thing for ourselves that we did for them. And we just have to know that they didn't teach us how to do that.
No.
We knew how to do that.
Yes.
So it was about business. So for that to happen, we can do the same thing. If we came out of slavery, creating opportunities for ourselves, if there were no opportunities, there is no reason for us not to be able to do that.
That is true.
Right?
I totally agree. And one of the things that I wanted to throw out there, Crystal, is that back in the 1800s, when slavery was in effect big time and other people were making money off blacks, when we decide to break away from that and become creative and self-sufficient for our own selves, we didn't have any support. We didn't have any assistance. There was no SBA. There was no Small Business Development Center. There was nothing like that to help us out. So our foreparents were so creative and ingenious that they were able to start their own business, and they also generated a lot of revenues doing that.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's a book, and I think I talked about this before. There's a book called Black Fortunes. Yes. And in that book, and I highly recommend everyone to get that book and read it, is this book talked about it was 7 individuals that became millionaires right after slavery. I'm talking, soon as they signed, the Emancipation was signed.
Yeah.
The next day they went to work.
Yeah.
And they
started their own thing.
But here's what they did. Exactly what we do today, and exactly the reason you become an entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
Is you recognize pain points. Well, at that point, there were a lot of pain points.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of opportunities, and we had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So anything you came up to make our lives easier and better and help move us to being independent was an opportunity. So they recognized, so these seven individuals created businesses out of that. Mm-hmm. And with that, they became millionaires in the 1800s.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So the message that we're trying to deliver here today, small business, is if our four parents could become millionaires and being successful out of their creative ingenuity, we should be able to do that today. And here's why we should be able to. Because we've got a lot of assistance right now. We've got business coaches like Crystal and myself to help you guys. We've got the SBA. We've got the Small Business Development Center. We've got all these different programs that can assist us. So if our four parents could do it, we can certainly do it.
Exactly. And Dr. G is saying we're in different times. We must become interdependent. That's absolutely right. Because it's important. We have, one of the biggest things is, I think, for us to overcome is we have to put all our differences aside. We have to put our egos aside. There is so much work to be done in our communities that there is no competition.
Right.
What it should be is unity.
Just a second. Can we take a quick break? Because some of the folks here, they're saying they can't hear what we're saying.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break right now. We're going to come right back, okay? We're going to fix this technical problem. All right? So take a break.
Small businesses spend more than $500 million each year combined trying to find missing or replace missing paperwork. Hey small businesses, are you tired of losing out on business opportunities because your paperwork is not in order? And don't you hate having to register in multiple websites just to find a single procurement opportunity that may not even be worth your time? Well, worry no more. SmallBizPro is the solution to your problems. SmallBizPro is an all-in-one cloud-based business management, compliance, and procurement assistance software platform that keeps small businesses organized, contract-ready, bank loan-ready, with quick access to procurement opportunities, as well as market research data. Here are some of the features and benefits that you receive when you use SmallBizPro to run your business daily. Superior record keeping at your fingertips, back office management and compliance, quick access to bids and procurement opportunities in government databases. It allows you to conduct easy market research and gather industry statistics, government certification preparedness and compliance checklists, easy HR and general operations management functionality, bank loan readiness preparation and cash flow management, certified payroll and labor compliance reporting, Business Dictionary with defined business terms, a cloud-based business management platform that keeps small businesses organized and ready, even nonprofits. Business documents securely stored in the cloud. Data fully encrypted and protected by triple firewall reinforcements. On-the-spot document retrieval.
Okay.
So
Actually, technical difficulties was not on Gilbert's side, is one of his listeners, his followers. So that's cool. But he was on it, guys. He was on it.
he had his Bluetooth in. That's why he couldn't hear. So
Before we jump into our topic, though, speaking of social media,
Yeah.
so yesterday I get a call. I was with a client and I get a call and it was several like back to back. I'm like, what's going on? So they were calling me because somebody was trying to hack in or clone me on Instagram.
Really?
So they're like, are you on Instagram right now? Like, no. Somebody's trying to be you. Like, oh no, you can't be me.
Can't be you. You're original.
I am the
You're
original.
The only Crystal Mitchell out there.
And so I was like, and he was going, you just sent something to me? I said, no, I didn't. He says, and somebody's asking me for personal information. First of all, that would never, ever
Right.
happen.
You should put a big statement out there that you'll never, ever ask for.
Right. Well, my Instagram actually says the authentic and original and official
Right.
Instagram for Crystal Mitchell.
Okay.
And so he told me, I said, well, describe what you see. So he was saying, it says Crystal Mitchell with an underscore at the end. No,
Right.
that's not me.
No.
So I went to it and it had 6 posts.
Right.
And so first of all, I had more posts than that, and then it had it's 17 followers.
Yeah.
They were my people.
Yeah.
So that
They
those
just copied them.
Those people came to say, one of them, LaRon.
Yeah.
LaRon was like, that didn't look right to
Yeah.
me. And then one of them was a client of mine that was on. He was in my digital marketing class, and he called.
Yeah.
And so I went back, and then I reported him to Instagram.
Right.
And then I unfollowed all the people, and then I
Yeah.
came back to say, and made a screenshot of
Yeah.
the one that was trying to copy me.
Yeah.
And said, this is not me.
Right.
And I have unfollowed all of you. So now you should be only following me on my official
Beautiful,
page. So
beautiful.
I am not, let me just tell y'all, guys, you cannot duplicate Crystal. I am the one and only. And even a guy I dated says, I've been following the wrong Crystal. No, baby, you know who I am. There is no other like me.
He's been following the wrong Crystal.
So just so y'all, whoever got that big bright idea to clone Crystal, not possible. My people know who I am.
So you guys have heard it here first. You cannot clone Crystal. There's one original Crystal, and don't even try it.
Don't even try. Just not.
So we were talking earlier before the break that in order for our foreparents, and this is Black History Month, we're celebrating Black History Month and year. And Black history doesn't just necessarily mean for Black people. Black history means that everyone who is involved in the development and the growth of Black culture, and it could be anyone. It could be Latinos, it could be Asians, it doesn't matter because we all work together in teams. What we're trying to tell you is that the beginning, the inception of how we came to be and how our resources and our wealth got developed. Many of our foreparents, they had nothing, but they were able to do it. So what we're saying on this show is that you guys can do it too. We've got more resources now than our foreparents did, and some of them were millionaires. So with all of the resources that Crystal and I are providing you guys should be able to use that.
So there was an article that is in this month's issue of Forbes, and you can get Forbes online. And I highly recommend that you subscribe to Forbes because they have some amazing information that can be very beneficial in you running your own business. But one of the things in the very first paragraph of the article is African Americans had played a profound role in shaping the U.S. business landscape. Technical innovations like the traffic light, and we're going to talk about who did that, automatic electric doors, elevator doors, and even caller ID, all sprung from the minds of very creative Black luminaries. So, and that's the cell phone. We're going to talk about the number of entities, but right now, a lot of times we as people indicate that we don't have all the resources in order to start our own businesses.
Right.
And actually, when we stop back and go back to our ancestors, they had like we just said, they had no, there was no SBA, there was nothing. So they had to create, and a lot of it came from bartering, right? They created a value and a wealth.
Right.
Hey, Tanya, how are you? They created a value, and then they were able to barter, and eventually that created the wealth the money that they needed in order to trade actual capital.
Right.
So there are a number of Black billionaires, and there's actually a Black billionaire club. Robert F. Smith is one of them. $5 billion is his net worth. David Stewart. Now, David Stewart was, he once watched his car be repossessed from his office parking lot.
Wow.
And today he is the billionaire founder and chairman of an IT provider, Worldwide Technology, one of the largest Black-owned businesses in America. In 2018, Forbes named him a billionaire with a net worth of $3.4 million. Billion. Today, he is his current net worth is $3.5 billion. Then,
Amazing.
of course, we have Oprah. Everybody knows what Oprah did. She's $2.7 billion. Michael Jordan is $1.9 billion. Jay-Z is at $1 billion. So these are individuals that took a craft, a talent, a skill. They were working for other people.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they came up with their own ideas, and now they've created. Now, one of the things that I am most impressed about our founders, when they started their businesses, they reached back into their communities. A lot of them, hey, Michael, a lot of them used their monies as they became millionaires. They used their monies in order to help support the Underground Railroad, right, and create the Freedom Express, and helping others that were like them, that were slaves, that were now free, that needed some assistance. They actually sponsored and paid for the Underground Railroad.
So they funded that.
They funded that.
Yeah.
So that is where we need to be. So if we could be that way in the beginning,
right,
we should definitely be that
right,
way instead of fighting against each other.
Yeah.
We don't have to hear all that chatter that goes on the outside.
No.
Our sole focus should be on us.
Right.
Right.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, Crystal, because usually I don't like to brag about the things that I do for small business, but I just wanted to put this out there because in the spirit of what you just said about how, our foreparents back then, they funded movements, they funded programs, they funded opportunities for others. They didn't have to do it, but they did. And that's the same thing we're trying to do right now. So I just want to explain to our listeners, our small biz pros out there. And first, I want to recognize some folks who are listening right now. Gregory Burke, thank you. Alfred Foster, Richard Alacon, Wanda, Kevin, thank you guys for tuning in to the Business Zone. So, I did a workshop last week for OmniWorks, sponsored by the Urban League. And there were about 30 people in that workshop. And in seconds, I was able to donate $30,000 to small businesses. $30,000, okay? $30,000 to small businesses by gifting them a platform, my patent pending platform called SmallBizPro, which is worth $1,000. That package was worth $1,000, but we gifted that to 30 small businesses who are in the workshop. Because I want to see small businesses succeed. And it wasn't just Black businesses. It were a mixture of everything. You've got Black, white, Latinos, Asians, they were all in the workshop. And I sponsored that because I want to help businesses to get their back office in order. I wanted to make sure that they understand what they need to grow and also obtain contracts. I didn't have to do that.
Nope.
But I did it because I wanted to follow in the footsteps of our foreparents and give back. And that's what I did. And, like I say, I don't like to talk about it and brag about it because it's not about bragging. It's about helping. And that's what we wanted to do.
And that's what we have to do. We have to reach back and be able to share. And people need to know who they're doing business with. So, I always have, on the back of my business card, it actually offers a 45-minute complimentary consultation
Yes.
To anybody that I meet. And just so we can sit down, so we can see where we are
Right.
and help. And so to this week, I was very pleased. I met with, I think, about 4 or 5 people this week.
Yes.
That I sat down and gave them some direction.
Which is great.
Yeah, and that's really what we have to do. We have to reach back in to help others. But let's get on with finding out. Here's what I would like for you guys to do, to call in. There are a number of entrepreneurs that look like us that inspired us to be in business. I was just, I've read on Madam C.J. Walker, so impressed with what she did, and there's so many others. Who is the one, and so we're putting this challenge out to you guys. Call in, text us on our Facebook Live feeds and or here on our individual Facebook pages. Who inspired you to do what you do? Even if it's a parent or a grandparent. My grandparents were entrepreneurs.
Right.
So their inspiration inspired me to create my own business.
Right.
And then they passed that on to my mom and aunts and uncles. And so we would love to hear from you. Who has inspired you to be the entrepreneur that you are? Right. Whether they're in your family or somebody outside of your family. But we love to hear from you to let us know that.
So give us a call here. Our phone number here is 323-293-3375. That's 323-293-3375. Give us a call. Let us know. What was your inspiration to start your own business or help someone start a business? And who was the person who inspired you? That's what we'd like to hear from you today. And also, are you giving back to help someone in your community?
I love that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we ready to rock and roll with the individuals, the Black inventors and their inventions?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So we're going to talk right now about some Black inventors that many of you guys probably have never heard about. You may be using their devices. You've seen the devices every day, but you don't know who invented it. So Crystal and we're going to bring that to light today.
Now, but I am going to preference this with a lot of them didn't get their credit because they didn't know about copyright and trademark. And I think that's a real important thing. That if you do have some intellectual property that you are using in your business, you definitely need to make sure that you're getting it protected and not mailing it back to yourself.
Yeah.
Let's not mail it back, because that means absolutely
That
nothing.
means nothing. Mailing it back to yourself means nothing. So you want to make sure you register your idea, your patent, your trademark with a proper authority. And that's the USPTO, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. That's where you want to register this. And if you don't know where it is, it's uspto.gov. uspto.gov. That's where you register your ideas.
Okay, so you ready to rock and roll?
Yes, we're ready to rock and roll.
All righty. So first on the list they're in alphabetical order, and we'll trade off. So here,
Thank you, Alfred.
Air conditioning unit. The inventor was Frederick M. Jones, and he invented this in July 12th, 1949.
Unbelievable.
The thing that keeps you cool, the thing that's keeping us cool here in
air
the studio.
Conditioning.
And in some places like the South, it's a mandatory.
Yes.
It's not an option, it's a mandatory.
Yes.
Your auto fishing device, and it was C. Cook. He did that in 18 1899.
Wow.
And then you have your automatic gear shift. And remember, I was just talking about that, right? I was just talking about how I learned to drive a manual. And it was created and invented by Richard B. Spikes in 1932. And then we all know about this one, the blood plasma bag. They actually even grace us with this one in school, and that was Charles Drew, which is the namesake of the hospital here.
Right.
Is so Charles Drew, a doctor, he did that approximately in 1945. Now remember, wrap your minds around what was going on at that time. So we were fighting for civil rights, or in the 1800s, we were just coming right out of slavery. So we want you to put it in the right a mindset as to what these people were doing at the time they were doing it, and how 400 years later, those devices are still being used.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So the bicycle frame. Now, how many of you ride bikes? Right? I mean,
a lot of people.
When we were kids, that was a Christmas toy.
Oh, yeah.
So that was invented by I.R. Johnson in 1899. The baby buggy, that you push your baby around. The stroller, that was W.H. Richardson in 1899. And the cable TV booking device was Joseph N. Jackson. That was in year 2000. Now that was right, again, recognizing a pain point. The cable TV, some of us didn't even have cable. We were still using rabbit ears, right? Which I'm sure somewhere on this list is rabbit ears, antennas was something. So here's this person thinking, wow, we need a device. And so he took his ingenuity and created that. I hope everyone knows this. The cell phone, the car phone, that very first car phone with the big box, and it really was only doctors and professional people that had it. Rich people with in their Mercedes. It was in the console of the car.
Big old box there.
The big old box. He did that in 1971. And isn't it amazing that cell phones have been around since 1971?
So your cell phone for your car was invented back 1971 by Henry T. Sampson.
I hadn't even graduated from high school. I mean, that's a long time ago.
I was in high school then. I was still in high school.
I was still in high school. I think I had just got to high school because I graduated. Well, actually, I was in junior car, the bag car phone. Yes, Tanya.
Yes.
The chamber commode, which is the bathroom, because before that, they were going outside to the outhouses, and that was in 1897. So now, of course, these are individuals that were working in their master's homes or the plantation owner's home, and they had to make it easier for themselves, right?
And just remember that when someone creates something or invents something, they said, what is it? Necessity is a mother of invention.
It is.
So something happened, and they wanted to make their life easier because it was so difficult. So they invented these things.
Yeah, they probably got tired of taking the mistress out to the white outhouse.
Exactly. Or down to the river.
Or down to the river. or changing bed limits the next day, because they what it is, right? So they created that. So clothes dryer. So the clothes dryer was the next one, which I thought was an amazing invention. And this was invented by an African-American, G.T. Sampson. Not to be confused with Henry T. Sampson for the cell phone, okay? G.T. Sampson. That was amazing. Yeah, that the clothes dryer. Again, out of necessity. Who was doing all of the housework? Yes. Who was doing, and he did that probably for his wife. Yeah. Because she was hand washing clothes. Yep. And it was winter. Yeah. And she would have to go outside. Hang it out on the line. People come by, steal your clothes off the line. Or just freezing. Yeah. And then here they didn't have boots and stuff. They had to go out. And so he probably was like, I want my woman to be out there. That's right. So I'm going to make your life a little easier. I'm going to create this clothes dryer. So And then the doorknob. Now, these are basic things that we have to use every single day. And so that was Old Dorsey, and that was invented in 1878.
Right.
The egg beater, again, someone in the kitchen going, this is too hard to beat up. If we got a family of 25, 30, 40 people, and we're doing this for every egg. Yeah. So they found they created an egg beater, probably was a blacksmith.
That's right.
That was William Johnson, and that was in 1884.
Right.
The next we have...
Now the elevator. We've been taking elevators for the longest time and not knowing who was the inventor of that. It was an African American. And it was invented back in 1867. By Alexander Miles. Can you imagine that? 1867, the elevator. First elevator was invented.
But did you ever hear about any of this when you were in school?
No, never hear about this before. No one knew that this was created by an African American.
And I lived in New York. I grew up in New York. The education system was definitely far superior to California, to Los Angeles, where I went. Sorry, everybody. Doesn't mean that, but that's just the case. And we were really deep into civil rights in 1965,
The one that really, really got me is the invention of the traffic light by Garrett Morgan.
Yes.
Garrett Morgan, that was back in the 1800s. And that's because, and I want to tell this story. That's because in the African American communities, when kids were playing, the other folks from the other side, they would drive through those communities and they would drive really fast, nonstop. And they would, sometimes they will hit the little kids, the little African American kids. They'll kill some of them just driving through the community. So that's how the traffic light was invented, to slow that process down. Yes. So it was amazing. It's unbelievable.
Right. Exactly.
And no one knew that the traffic light was invented by an African American.
Right. Exactly. You didn't, because that was all during the time of building a new car. Now here's one that you've always been taught that Thomas Edison created. Electricity in the light bulb. Well, it really wasn't true. The electric lamp and bulb was created by Louis Latimer.
I think you should say that again, Crystal.
You have always been taught that Thomas Jefferson was the grandfather of light. And yes, he did the electricity, but the electric bulb and lamp and bulb was invented by Louis Latimer, and he did that in 1882. So there you have it, right?
Yes.
And then the eye protector, and that was P. Johnson in 1880.
Right.
Now, actually, I've met this guy right here. I've had many conversations with him. Actually, I think I even coached him.
Right.
His name is Joseph Jackson. He created the female cycle indicator.
See, this is amazing. This is amazing. Many women are using this product daily right now, and they don't understand how it came into being.
Yeah.
This was created by an African American, and
just in 2000, so that was literally 20 years ago.
Yes, 1998 and 2000.
Right.
So the female cycle predictor and indicator was created by the same person, Joseph Jackson.
Right, and
Joseph
I've actually met him, and I counseled. I did some coaching with him.
Very good.
Years ago,
Very good.
Someone introduced me to him, and I think in 2000, and that might have been at that time when I met him, because he was going through the process of updating it and doing a new patent on it. But now I believe I've met him somewhere in the last 10 years, and now he has an app.
Really?
And there are a number of women, apps that were based upon that.
I'm going to let you do that side over there. I'll do this side, because there are so many amazing things that I want to share with our audience today as to what was created by African Americans. So
the next one is the fire extinguisher, J.T. Marshall, and he did that in 1872. You want to take to the next side?
So I want to tell you guys, how many of you guys, when you go home, you can't wait to cook some food? Right? You can't wait to cook some food because you want to make sure that you have a stove, right? Well, the stove was invented by an African American, all right? The stove was invented by an African American in 1876 His name is T.A. Carrington.
And so now the stove, when you think back in the 1800s, again, based out of necessity, right, and if you go, and I don't know if any of you guys have, and if you have, please indicate that you have on social media or give us a call. So I've gone to the South, and those of you that live in the South, where you actually do a plantation tour.
Yeah.
And so when you go into the kitchen, and I remember recently I just went to Frederick Douglass's house in D.C.
Yeah, I remember you told me.
Right, and so it was this big cast iron thing, and then it was, a box. You open it up, and they put firewood in, and it created, first it was firewood, and then it became coal, and you put it in, and then the eyes are on top, and then that's how, prior to that, it was a trifold kind of thing, and it was a pot over firewood. So this person, again, saw the necessity. T.A. Carrington. And I'm going to do some research on these individuals because there's probably some amazing books out there.
They probably
as in their
some
journey.
family that we can get a hold of.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
Yes.
The fire extinguisher. The gas mask was Garrett Morgan as well.
Right.
Garrett Morgan, actually, when you do research on him, and I've done research on him, he has done a number of things.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So the gas mask.
And the traffic light, that's him.
Right. So So when you go back and you look at doing World War II, when they were setting off the bomb in Hawaii and Germany with the gas mask, that would have been that era for him. He did this in 1914, so that would have been part of was that the Korean War? Or was it World War II?
I don't remember which one that was.
Yeah, so he would have done that during that time.
Yeah.
And so now you want to do the next one?
So I want you guys to think of this one because this one is golden. Most of us guys, we cannot function our television without a remote control, right? We can't. We just can't function that way. But the remote control was invented, the TV remote control was invented by an African American named Joseph N. Jackson. And this was back in 1978. The first remote control was invented by an African American.
So you notice Joseph also did the female
Educator.
Very prolific inventor.
Yes.
And a lot of us have invented things that were out of necessity.
Exactly.
But they happen to get theirs patented, and so it's very important that we encourage you guys when you have something that you want, that you have a new invention.
Yes.
Go for it. Don't let fear keep you from doing that.
That's right.
And then it may not be something that you create a business, but it may be something that you get licensed for, and it's yours, and you get paid for it. So we encourage you all to do that. Next, my brother-in-law is like a MacGyver. He's always coming up with clever ideas. The golf tee is T. Grant. He did that in 1899. Who even knew that they were playing golf?
That's what I'm talking about.
1899. I didn't even know you were playing golf.
I guess that's where that story Bagger Vans came from, right? Back in those days.
Must have been. Okay.
So right now, I want to talk a little bit about the straightening comb. That comb that women used to straighten their hair back in the day, that was invented by an African American. Her name was Madame Walker.
Yeah, Madam C.J. Walker.
Madam Walker.
Now, there was a woman before Madam C.J. Walker, and you will find her story in that book I'm talking about, The Black Fortunes.
Yes.
She actually created the first hair creams and stuff, and so Madam C.J. Walker worked for her.
Yes.
And she created this network of women, and they would go out and sell. So she became a millionaire in the early 1800s. Amazing. And then Madam C.J. Walker, now this is how wealthy she was.
Yeah.
Her daughter's wedding, she spent $1 million on.
Wow.
And that was in the 1920s. So
that's amazing.
And here's another little tidbit about Madam C.J. Walker. So her home, which is in Atlanta, was in Georgia. Her home has been bought by this guy. His name is Renalvo, I think he is. He actually, his family created this the Shea Moisture line, hair care line, and they've been around since the 1900s.
Wow.
So he's a legacy business owner.
Yeah.
So he just recently bought Madam C.J. Walker's home.
That's amazing.
And it's being turned into a school for young people in that community.
That is amazing.
To go to school to become hairstylists.
That is amazing. So I wanted to welcome some folks here to the Business Zone. Albert Clark, how you doing, my brother? Welcome to the Business Zone. Chris Tibbs, welcome to the Business Zone. Luciano Corky, welcome to the Business Zone. Art, Lilibeth, Ro, Ortiz, welcome to the Business Zone. So, here's my next invention, my next African-American invention. You remember back in the day when you go to school and you got to do your homework, so you got to use a typewriter, or if you had a job, you got to use a typewriter to create letters. Well, that typewriter was created by an African-American. Back in 1885, the typewriter, 1885. And this person's name was Barrage and well, two people, Barrage and Martian.
Yeah, so let me tell you a little story about the typewriter for me. When I first got out of college, I recognized that an easier entry into the business world was through the admin, right? And being able to type and take shorthand and all that sort of stuff. And then you could work your way up the ladder once you got there.
Yeah.
So after college, I went back to a secretarial school to learn that. Not because I was going to be a secretary. Right. I was just going to use that. Just want to
know how to do it.
I needed a skill.
Yeah.
So I worked for a data entry company. They sold respirators. And I learned to type at, through school, I was a pretty good typist. But I was typing 110 or 150, 120 words a minute.
That's amazing.
And then I was typing 140 strokes a minute for data entry.
That's amazing, man. I'm typing 70 words a minute, and I was all excited about that.
And I remember we would work in the business back in the time when you worked in computers and you were in the basement and in the cold room and that big mainframe. Mm-hmm. The guy that I worked with, his name was Richard. When we would get done, literally smoke was coming out of the machine.
Holy moly.
Because we were in competition.
You guys were
just
That's amazing.
That's my typewriter history story there.
That's amazing. So we talked about the thermostat, right? You get home, you got to turn down your environmental control, turn it up, get it warm, get it cold. Well, the thermostat control was invented back in 1960, and that was done by an African-American called Frederick M. Jones. Frederick M. Jones. He invented the thermostat control.
Right. And the ironing board was invented by Sarah Boone in 1987. And so 1887. So, of course, again, out of necessity, they created, because if not, they were doing it on the table.
That's what I'm talking about.
And so they created the ironing board.
Right. And the spark plug for your car, you know, when you take your car to Jiffy Lube or one of those places, and they say, oh, you need spark plug. That's why you're not getting enough power within your engine. Well, that spark plug was invented by Edmund Berger in 1830, an African American.
There you go. And then we have the lawnmower that was invented by J.A. Burrow, and that was in 1889. And again, stuff out of it, because who was mowing the lawns, who was cutting the grass on the big plantations and all those acres was that individual that had been a slave.
That is true.
And so now they created something to make their job that much easier.
You got to make the job easier.
Right.
And just like with all of us, we got to receive our mail every day, right? We want to see, even though we're getting bills from the bill collector and we don't want to deal with it, we still got to check out our mail. Well, that mailbox was invented by an African American called Paul B. Downing. Paul B. Downing in 1891. That mailbox was created by an African American.
And then the hairbrush, Lydia D. Newman created the hairbrush in 1898. Actually, Lydia D. Newman is the individual that Madam C.J. Walker actually worked for, and she was the one that came up with the hair ornaments.
Amazing.
And so she had that, and then Madam C.J. Walker came afterwards. So
Amazing.
again, who was doing their plantation owner or their mistress's hair was these individuals, these women that were working in the house and in the big house. Yeah. And so again, so here. You guys notice the thread here, right?
Yeah.
These inventions were created because this is something that we were doing on a daily basis. Yeah. And so here's how I see this. Mm-hmm. We were told to do a task, but we're given no tools to do the task.
That's right. That's true. That is so true. That is so true.
So you had to come up with your own device to make that job, to be able to finish that job in a timely manner. Yes. Because they gave you this task to do a timeline when they wanted it done, or you would gotten beaten.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so you came up with the device to make that, to be able to accomplish the task, to keep from being beaten. Yeah. And then at the same time, to be able to operate in the time frame they wanted you to make.
Amazing.
So that's how I think about things.
That's exactly how it is, because a lot of times we don't have enough time in the day to do all the things we need to do, but we got to find ways of doing it. So by creating inventions to simplify the process is really how we go about making this thing work. Exactly. Just like the refrigerator. Yeah. So we cook our food, and we cook more than we need to, because we don't want to cook every day. So we figure, okay, if we cook and we put it all together, we need to put it someplace where it will last. So that's how the refrigerator was invented. Right. And that was invented way back in 1891 by J. Standard. J. Standard, an African American.
Now this one, and my side is pretty much done. Yeah. But this one, so the reason why we were chosen to do what become these slaves was resourceful, because way back in ancient Egypt, there were many inventions that took place. That, and Egypt is in Africa. However, you guys, they're not North Africa. In Africa, there's one continent. And so the stethoscope was created by Imhotep. I want to say it's Imhotep. And they were from ancient Egypt. Right. So those were even our ancestors before, and actually part of the original, probably, of the beginning of society and people.
Yes. Now, how many of you guys like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? You've heard about that all the time, right? I'm going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Well, the peanut butter was invented and created by an African American. You didn't know that, right? It was created by an African American way back in 1896. And this person's name is George W. Carver.
Right, the peanut guy.
The peanut guy.
But there was so many things that George Carver did that, it's just unlimited, the stuff that he has done. And we talk about, the only thing we really talk about is the peanut farming. Yeah. But there were so many things else.
So many things. There are so many inventions that we don't even have enough space on this paper to put it.
Right, exactly.
Because as we speak right now, there are still inventions, just like the invention of a back office for your small business that will manage your business so well was created by this great African American that I know. His name is Gilbert Buchanan.
So we got to get you on the list.
We got to get me on that list. And this Gilbert Buchanan guy, he created this product about 11 years ago. And he created it because he saw the need to help small businesses because they were scrambling. Wasn't managing their paperwork properly, didn't know where to find it. So he said, I'm going to come up with something. And that's how SmallBizPro was invented. So now you guys know.
And let me ask you, since we're talking about the real inventor here, what were some of the processes that you went through in order to create your to know, one, that it was a viable product that would be used, and to take the risk that you were going to put your time and energy and money into creating this product?
Well, the first reason, and that's a great question, Crystal. So the first reason why I decided to create the system, beside the fact that I saw where small businesses were struggling to run their business and manage their business, but at the time I was hired by LA Unified School District to go out in the community and try to convince small businesses in the community to vote to tax themselves on a proposition that was coming up, because the school, they were trying to build all these additional schools, but they needed funding for it. So they had us go in the community. So I went in the community and I was talking to small businesses and encouraging them to vote to tax themselves so that this proposition could pass. And in turn, they were saying that small businesses would be able to obtain contracts. Well, after that's done and people tax themselves, when the small businesses came to the table to get their piece of the pie, they keep telling them no. They're saying, hey, you don't have your business plan. You don't have your financials in order. You don't have your tax return. Where's your statement of qualifications? You don't have bonding. So now they're coming up with all of these things why the small business couldn't get a contract. So I said, never again is this going to happen. I put my face out there. These people trusted me. And now they're trying to tell them no. So I came up with a system where a small business will never, ever come to the table to negotiate a contract and not have their paperwork with them. So that's why I created SmallBizPro.
So you saw a need.
Saw a need in the marketplace, and I took care of it.
Awesome. And that's usually when we think about how businesses or how all these devices were created, was because you saw a need, and you addressed that need with a product, and based upon your research, you saw that it was a valuable. It was valuable because many small business, as soon as they saw it, well, not only do we have a back office that they can use on their computer, but they can also use it on their phone as an app. Right. So wherever they are, they can just use that app to access their documents. So that was amazing. So you're asking the process. So part of the process was, once I created the idea, then I had to hire programmers to develop the programs. Right. Now that was a challenge, because as you all know, when you reach out to programmers, they're all going to tell you they know how to do the work you're trying to do. That's a big one on when you're using technology. Yes. Yeah. So as soon as you hire them, you find out they really don't know what they're talking about. They don't know your mission. They don't know your vision. So you have to keep going through programmers. I went through at least 10 different programmers. So you have to keep going through programmers until you find the right one. Then once you do that, now you got to start doing your patent, your trademark, and all of that so you can protect it. And about approximately, you don't have to tell us how much you did, but approximately how, when it came to patenting this intellectual property or intellectual product of yours, about what ballpark did that cost?
For the patent and trademark? Uh-huh. So the patent, I paid over $25,000-$30,000 for the patent. Okay. And the trademark, I paid $695 for the trademark.
Okay, but the actual patent piece,
the patent piece was about $30,000, because these attorneys, they try to collect from you all any way they can. So they keep telling you, difficult. Oh, it's going to be a difficult thing. You got to give me $5,000 more, or $2,000 more, or $10,000 more. That's what they do.
And what was the challenge?
The challenge?
Why was it? Why did they have to keep coming back?
Because when they write, because these attorneys are the ones who write the language for your invention. Okay. And they act like they know what to write, because they're saying, hey, I know what will get you approved. So you believe in them. Okay. So you pay them for that service, only to find out that what they're doing is they're going online and they're getting a template online, and they're using that template to apply for your patent, when some of the language in the template is outdated.
So basically what you're saying is you have to make sure the attorney that you're going to is knowledgeable and has had multiple things approved. Oh, yes. And so that you make sure you're not spending. If you were to do that again today, what would you do differently?
If I were to do that again, I would do it so much more differently. The attorneys that I hire, I would interview them thoroughly. to make sure they really know what they're doing and make sure that this field, IT, is their specialty, that they know about IT. Because many of these guys know nothing about IT, but they want to represent you.
Okay.
They want to say, oh, I can do this patent for you. So that's one of the first things I would have done.
Okay.
I would have done my due diligence on a lot of different things. For example, I trusted this one attorney when he was putting a narrative in my patent application. He was putting CD-ROMs and hard drive. I'm going, that's not what this is about. This is a software. What are you talking about? Hardware and CD-ROM. You know, nobody uses CD-ROM and all of that stuff anymore, you know? So that was another part to it. And it just costs a lot of money. And, you know, so I fired him.
Okay.
I fired both attorneys. So right now I'm working directly with the patent office.
Okay. And would you advise, if we were anyone that had an idea that they really want to go out and get patent and copywritten, would you advise them to go directly to the U.S. Patent Office?
Well, I wouldn't advise that because you have to know a lot of things. You've got to know a lot about your product. You got to know a lot about the process. You have to know a lot about how the patent office interface with you, because most of them will not deal with you directly.
Oh, okay.
So you have to understand that process too. But because, you know, I'm the type of person, you know, I got to make it happen.
Right.
I went out there and I reached out to the supervisor at the patent office and I said, listen, I have this attorney. He's not doing a good job in defending me. Well, I don't want to say defending, but representing me.
You, right.
And on my product. So, and he's misrepresenting my product. So I want to get rid of him. So I had to go through a process, fill out paperwork, and to remove him because he was the attorney on record.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So just so you guys know, when you're doing a patent, the attorney you bring in will be the attorney on record. So anything that the patent office does will go through that attorney, not you, even though you own it. It's going to go through them. So when you remove that attorney, then you have to notify the patent office and you fill out some paperwork. You may have to pay a fee and you bring in a new attorney. But they have to be notified.
Okay. So you have to let them know that you're moving on.
Right.
Okay. Well, so everyone, I hope if you have something out there that you really know that will work and will solve a pain or a problem that's in the area or with your particular specific target market, then those are some of the processes that you do. But it's very important. And it did sound like that's tedious and you could have really given up.
It's very tedious.
But understanding that if you're going to go find investors for your product, the first question, if any of you watch Shark Tank, the first question they ask is this product a patent pending, or do you have a patent?
Exactly.
And the reason for that is because if they're going to invest money into your product, they don't want someone else to come along and say, wait a minute, this was my idea.
Exactly.
And now there's a lot of stuff that's going to go along with that.
So you got to demonstrate that your idea, your invention is proprietary, so no one else can infringe on that. So the investor will feel more comfortable investing in your idea or your invention. Now, many of our forefathers, they didn't have that luxury. They didn't have a patent office to send it to until later on, after the fact.
Right.
So, you know, they did what they did and, you know, it was working in the Black community. But then once they get to the level where they can send it to the patent office, then that's what they did.
And a lot of times they had to use, especially the ones that were creating product in the 1800s, they had to use their owners in order to get it patented. So, of course, they took the credit for it, but in actuality, and that's why it's so important for us to have this conversation so that you know that this was originally a product or an invention of someone that looked like you or I.
And I just want to say this out there, too. And anyone out there who is an inventor, any one of you can be an inventor. Anyone. If you see a pain in the marketplace, you see a need, a problem that needs to be solved, and no one else is solving that problem, or they might be solving it, but, you know, not fully, and you come up with a solution that can do a much better job, go for it. And patent your idea. Patent it, patent it, patent it. If you don't know how to go about it, you reach out to us here on the show, and we will send you some ideas of some patent attorneys that you can work with. But you don't want to give up your idea, because the last thing you want to do is to go out in a store and see your idea in that store
and somebody else
by someone else taking the credit.
Right, exactly. So we are at the tail end of our show, and we want to thank you guys. And that was our Black History Moment. We still got one more week. That's actually one more week in the month of Black History.
Yes.
But we, like Spotify, gonna celebrate 365 days.
That's right.
But before we leave, I just want to let you guys know I am sitting on a panel talking about a workshop, or actually it's a Black History event, and it's for African American entrepreneurship. It's a look back at entrepreneurship in Los Angeles. Is Friday, February 28th, which is next week, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Museum of African American Art at 4005 Crenshaw Boulevard. It's in the Macy's on the 3rd floor. You want to RSVP at the Urban League website, Black History tab. And Dr. Allison Rose Jefferson, she's a historian and author. She's going to be speaking on a look back at African American entrepreneurship. And then I'm going to be sitting on a panel talking about the future of entrepreneurship for African Americans.
That's amazing, co-host.
So that's next week.
That's much respect to you, man. Gotta give you props.
Thank you. And then just to let everyone know, BizCamp applications have opened. If you have an aspiring budding entrepreneur between the ages of 13 and 18, you want to reach out to me and go to the Urban League website, the Los Angeles Urban League, or laul.org, and sign your child up. It is a free program. It's a 15-day camp, and we're going to teach your child to be an entrepreneur. And then they're going to, there are some cash awards for the best businesses that are created, and they will compete. So,
and I'd like to recommend, because I know many of you are listening. Albert, I know you're listening. Mackie, Harold, Ophelia, you guys are all listening, okay? If you have kids, I think you should enroll them in this entrepreneurial program, because what our foreparents and our parents didn't do is to teach us entrepreneurship. So we have to learn the hard way. So if you enroll your kids in this program right here, this Biz Camp with Crystal, unbelievable. These guys can become young entrepreneurs.
Right. So you can go to our Facebook page, but go to the Urban League and you get detailed camp. Our deadline for applications is April 30th. So you want to get your applications in. And then one last thing before we head out, I am also speaking at the 5th annual Women's Economic Entrepreneur Empowerment Tea. It's going to be held on March 14th at 11 a.m. And I'm going to be a special guest speaker for that event. And I am going to be talking on digital entrepreneurship and how to create multiple streams of income, which has been my mantra.
That's your thing.
That's my thing, how to create multiple streams of income.
I hear that.
So this is being hosted by the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. Go to their website. It's ncbwlat.eventbrite, or just put the 100 Black Women in Eventbrite and it will pop up. Get your ticket. It's amazing tea room in Torrance, and we'd love to have you there. So be the difference.
Yeah.
And sign up.
Be the difference, sign up. I appreciate you guys watching our show today.
Right. So we will see you next week, and we'll have another, we're not quite sure what we're talking about next week, but you just come on in. It's always fun and exciting.
And if you have a topic you want us to share on the show, give us a call, send us an email. We'd love to share that topic on the show.
We certainly will. Okay, guys. So have a fantastic weekend. Go over to the Pan-African Film Fest at the mall. There's a great vendor fair there, art and clothing and African jewelry and African clothing, and then go check out some of the movies. I have had a fantastic time. I've bought t-shirts. I supported the Black businesses over there. So we want you to do the same. So make that one of your stops this weekend. They are here till the 23rd. So we want to sign off and tell you all to have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the nice weather. Be safe and continue to uplift our Black inventors and business owners out there.
And work work with black businesses if you can, guys. Work with us because
support.
we're all together on this thing.
Yeah, we are. So have a great one, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. We're tuning out.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.